I've upgraded the shack power, 200 amp hours of battery. Follow along with me here and I'll show you how I did it, why I did it, and maybe you want to do it too. Let's go. All right, you're gonna need some batteries. I chose 100 amp hour Redodo batteries. I got a pair of them here, which I'm gonna put in parallel for 200 amp hours total. You're gonna need a way to interconnect these batteries. This happens to be 4 gauge, 1 foot jumper wire. You want something heavy gauge enough so the batteries can balance between themselves as needed. You're going to need a way to distribute your power. A power pole distribution block is what I'm using. Something where you can split power between the batteries and any device that you want to power with the batteries. The power pole distribution block is pretty good. The metering system, we're gonna have a drock meter on this. I did a video earlier about the drock to measure the capacity, how many amps we're putting in or taking out of the batteries. A really good meter. And a spool of wire that you're going to use to connect to all of the equipment that you want. I picked up a 25-foot spool. This is 10 gauge oxygen-free copper, and we'll be able to chop this up as we need and get it to our equipment. Let's go up and let's get everything hooked up on the table and get everything powered, and we'll go through it from there. Hey, little power upgrade to the shack today. This is where I'm going to put these 2 batteries. Back here you see my antenna disconnect box. The power from that is going to be directly off the radio. I'll show you that in a minute. Let's get the batteries over here. Let's get everything wired up in parallel so the voltage will stay the same and I'll get double the amperage. So 200 amps total. So yeah, let's get everything over here and hooked up. Here we go. Hook the power lead into the shunt. That way the meter can get powered. And we'll hook the shunt up right here. Negative to negative. Perfectamundo. Okay, so far, positive, positive, negative, negative. My positive battery leads are going to come off here. My negative side battery lead is going to come off the opposite battery here. And right now this is just going to a power pole connector, which I will hook into my power pole distribution block once we're done. So the negative side of the power pole needs to be hooked up to the load side of the shunt. This is the source side of the shunt. This is the load side of the shunt. So let's hook this up to here. All right, so now we got a power pole connector that should be getting a good 12 volts. We will hook that into our power pole distribution block, which is right here. We're just gonna hook it into, I don't care which port, port 6, why not, right? And I don't have a place to mount this yet, so I'm just gonna stick that right down here beside the batteries. And let's go ahead, this is the lead going to our radio. So let's go ahead and plug our radio in as well. And we'll just put that right down here for right now until I find a place to mount that. Let's get the meter installed. Meter, super simple. I have another video I did, link in the description to this meter and also how to program it. Meter gets plugged in to the port here on the shunt, the white port on the shunt with this ribbon cable. Well, this isn't the ribbon cable, this is the longer of the 2 cables it comes with. Very simple. This one side of this gets plugged into the back of the meter. Only goes one way, it's notched. And the other side will get plugged into the shunt. Again, only goes one way. So there we go. Now we got our shunt. Do a little bit of cable organization here. And now you see the meter is alive. So let me drop you back down and let me show you how we're going to power this box right back here in the back. Is my automatic antenna disconnect. When that box has power, it connects the input and the output of the coax. When the box does not have power, it shunts those to ground. So let me bring you to the back of the radio and I'll show you how I have that connected. All right, here we are on the back of the radio, and this Yaesu has a jack right here labeled output 13 volt at 200 milliamps. So you're not going to do anything crazy with this output. But what I did was make an RCA phono adapter to power pole, tip positive, and that plugs right here into that jack on the radio. And then this power cable goes over to my antenna disconnect switch. So what that allows me to do is when I power the radio on, it'll send a voltage out of this port, which will turn on my antenna disconnect switch and connect my antennas for use. I turn the radio off, the voltage on this port on the back of the radio goes away, which causes my antenna disconnect switch to lose power, which will shunt both of my antenna ports to ground. Good static discharge protection, all driven from the radio, whether you have the radio on or off. All right, you can see the battery meter now. These two front leads on my distribution panel just over to a small little 2x2 NOCO charger. I got both of the ports plugged in to give me 4 amps of charging capacity. And you can see right now the battery's taking in 4 amps. I did use it a little bit earlier. I know I'm at 183 amps. I did set it before I did that. So the batteries are charging up, and when I turn the radio on, it will connect my antennas automatically, and that's all I need to do. I don't have to worry about this Astron power supply up here. This thing generates a lot of heat too. This Astron is a VS35M 35 amp power supply. It generates a lot of heat. I've noticed this is not, my shack's a little bit cooler now that I'm not running this beast right here. So there's the shack upgrade, and let's bring you back up top, and we'll talk about it a little bit more and let you know where you can find this stuff if you want to pick it up for yourself. Well, there you have it, the Redodo 100 amp hour times 2 shack upgrade to give me 200 amp hours of usable battery power here in the shack. I'm going to run this as my primary source of power in the shack instead of my Astron 35 amp power supply. One, it's a lot cooler, doesn't generate any heat. I've noticed a temperature difference already in the shack. It's easier to turn it on and off, one less piece of equipment to worry about. And it's just, I think the noise floor has gone down a little bit. The linear power supply that Astron makes is really good on noise, but I've noticed a little bit less noise. So that's pretty awesome as well. Why did I do 2 100 amp Redodos instead of the single 200 amp Redodo? Redodo does make a single 200 amp battery, but I did not want to put all my eggs in one basket. If I have one of these 100 amp hour batteries fail for whatever reason, I still have one more left. If I decide to get another one to increase my capacity to 300 amp hours, I'll get another 100 amp hour battery. If I have one fail, I'm back down to 200 amp hours. If you buy a single large capacity battery and something happens with that single battery, you're out of power. You're out of luck. So I always try to split up things, run them in parallel. If you have to, you can do a combination of banks in series, and those banks run in parallel to, you could go on for days. Hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, links in the description below if you want to pick up any of the things that I use. And remember, give me a thumbs up if you like the video, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you can get notified the next time I put out a video. And as always, guys, stay good. See ya.